you what you thought about the 2020 special. Can you unmute?
I apologize. I'm supposed to go outside.
Okay. So while you do that, I'll turn to.
It was very powerful, though. It's very emotional watching that, but it was very powerful. Ooh, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, while you get yourself situated, Antoinette, I'll turn to Dale and see what his thoughts were. Dale, what were your thoughts?
Well, it told the story that we've been trying to tell for the last 3 years. That there's a wrongful conviction here. That the defense that was presented at trial was non-existent. The investigation that was done was incomplete. People are starting to listen. They're starting to hear what this case is really about. And when they hear that, and when you have a conversation, people are moved. And I think the update on 2020 today will continue to drive the conversation.
Yeah. I thought it was really thorough. I thought that, it edited the original version of the Last Defense really well to give people, the backdrop and kind of the sense of what got so many of us enraged when it came out in July, I think, of 2018. It gave us a really good synopsis. And then it turned and I thought addressed the new stuff really well and the national attention that it's garnered over the last several months. I thought it did an excellent job at that. And those 2 hours went by so fast.
They did, and you're right. What the producers had to do was sort of build the case against Julius so that case could be deconstructed. Right. And they did that, in a very compelling way. And again, the evidence that was not presented at trial, the evidence that we recently discovered related to racism during the trial, all of that information is important, and those are the things that people are talking about today.
Mm-hmm. I want the folks who are out there watching, if you have questions and you're watching from someone's page who shared this as a watch party, we won't be able to see those questions. You have to go to the Justice for Julius page and be able to type your question into the actual event that's on the Justice for Julius Facebook and not a watch party from somebody else's page. Otherwise, we won't see your question. But Dale, someone says, take this to the U.S. Supreme Court. Can't that be done? She's been following this for years. Can you tell us about the U.S. Supreme Court?
Twice we've tried to take Julius's case to the U.S. Supreme Court, one time in 2017, one time in 2018. And the court declined to take the case. And a reason why the court did that was it's so late in the game. There are so many procedural barriers and technicalities that stand between a death row prisoner and the ability to get the Supreme Court to take the case. So we presented the two issues related to race to the Supreme Court, but it simply said it would not review the case.
Okay. Keith is asking, is there a reason why we can't see Julius during an interview?
Well, the policy at the Oklahoma Department of Corrections does not allow prisoners to be filmed. So he cannot participate in media interviews. He could not participate in a stream like this.
Okay. Someone is asking, why can't the ineffectiveness of his first legal team get him back into court? Is it possible to have an investigation into the juror misconduct?
You know, the thing is, we looked at all those issues. The ineffective assistance of counsel issues were presented to the courts prior to our office getting on the case, and the courts declined to address those. The issues of racism during the trial, we tried to present that to the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, and again, it used procedural technicalities to avoid looking at those issues.
Okay. This was something we referred to on last week's, I guess it was last week's Facebook Live, but just for clarity, someone is asking about the gun. Did it get tested for prints and DNA like the handkerchief did?
At the original investigation, the gun was tested for prints, and no prints were recovered, and it was not tested for DNA.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. Again, if you're watching by through a watch party on somebody's page, we won't be able to see your questions. You have to go to Justice for Julius on Facebook to find this event and to type in the question, and that's how we see you. Let's see. What was really, somebody brought this up about the picture, about the hair and the cornrows. What was really, really clear, and something that we've been talking about in this advocacy work for the last 2 years, is the description. And I was very pleased by how 2020 helped people to understand these issues around the photos and the hair. I think, Dale, that when we saw Julius in handcuffs, I guess this would have been on the news, that would have been what the day that he was picked up for this crime, which would have been July 31st, 1999.
Yes.
So we have a photo that shows him 9 days before the crime. We use that photo a lot in our advocacy work. And then then you see for yourself with your own eyes, this man's haircut while he is in police custody with his hands behind his back and handcuffs. You see how short his hair is. And so how in the world is half an inch or more of hair sticking from underneath the cap? And then you see this compared to the co-defendant, Christopher Jordan. I do not for the life of me understand how we, our system, our judges, our courts, I cannot for the life of me understand how we just play dumb about this, how we act like this is not what we're seeing. And, from our perspective, and something I say all the time, we have to believe in what we see, and we have to believe that we hear well as well. We can't let people talk us out of common sense, because I think that has been attempted a lot in this situation. No. We see what we see, and we have heard what we have heard. And I really want people to stick to what your eyes saw tonight and what your ears heard. I think, when the Last Defense came out, a lot of people were saying, this is just a lot of people and powerful people in Oklahoma were saying, this is just a melodrama. This is just one of those Hollywood dramas. Well, the reason this got me fired up from the very beginning was because I didn't see actors in the Last Defense. I saw real folks. I saw Oklahomans. I saw real people who had a story to tell, had a perspective. And so, again, I think it's really, really important that regardless of what happens after tonight, don't let anybody talk you out of what you saw with your own eyes and what you heard with your own ears.
You know, to your